Hi there everyone, Coach Alexa here. I wanted to talk today about fueling for our longer runs. So if you have a spring marathon coming up, you will be reaching the peak of some of your mileage quite soon. If you have an autumn marathon coming up, you might just be starting to think about, getting a specific training plan for that marathon. And regardless, it's a good idea to have a think about what you're eating when you're running. So our bodies physically can't digest as much as we burn when we're running. So we still need to make sure that we're thinking about what we're having beforehand, and also our pacing to make sure we're predominantly burning body fat when we're racing and running endurance distances. However, what we can eat during our runs can be really, really useful for maintaining that energy level, and particularly for longer races like the marathon and beyond. They really are key in helping us maintain our pace and performance and not hitting the dreaded wall. For those of you who've done that, the experience of the body running out of that quickly available glycogen-based fuel for our muscles, which is mostly provided by the carbohydrates that we eat, is an unpleasant one. For me, it involves a lot of crying and feeling a bit sick. So what can we eat on our runs? A lot of people default to sports products, so gels and energy bars and sports drinks made by, the big companies like Lucozade, etc. And they can be great if you get on with them. They're often given out at races, so if you're doing sort of a big city marathon, for example, it is worth double checking on their website the brand that they work with for their on-race nutrition and experimenting with it, because it's kind of easier if you're just picking up the stuff on the course on the way round and you don't have to carry it with you. That said, I work with an increasing number of runners who don't get on with sports nutrition products. And that is because their primary ingredient is sugar. Normally in a mixture of sucrose and fructose, sometimes called fruit sugar to make it sound healthier. Possibly with some electrolytes in there as well, which can be handy. But my analogy is, say, you're somewhere between 4 and 5 hours for a marathon. If you were to sit for 4 or 5 hours on the sofa and just eat sugary things, you might feel a bit wonky. And if you're doing that whilst you're running, you also might feel a bit wonky. So what is our body looking for? It's looking for simple, tempting, and easy to digest carbohydrates. So sugar, sucrose, glucose, fructose are the simplest form of carbohydrate you can get. So they, relatively speaking, get through your digestive system pretty quickly and get to your muscles. But as I said, the downside is just eating sugar all the time. It doesn't suit everybody's stomachs and digestion. So there are alternatives. You just have to think about, where can I get carbohydrates that are simple, i.e. the molecules are small, so they need less of a process to get broken down to become the glycogen that our muscles need. Is it tempting and tasty for us to eat? Do we enjoy eating it? And also there's a kind of practicality side, I guess, to how you can carry it with you on a long run or in a race. So those are the 3 things you can think about. But if what you want to eat meets all those 3 criteria, then absolutely use it as a fuel for your long runs, or maybe even your races. So a few of random ideas that I've used and my runners have used over the years. Sachets of fruit-based baby food. So instead of the pure sugar rush of an energy gel, you get a similar sort of squidgy packet with a little top that you can undo, so you can squirt into your mouth, but it'll be banana or apple or strawberry flavour. Thinking about savoury alternatives, because I am not a particular sweet tooth personally, so I quite like things like sort of crisps and mini cheddars, maybe just white tortilla wraps kind of rolled up with maybe a tiny bit of some sort of spread in them, be that light cheese spread, or maybe a tiny little amount of honey in there, so that you can just bite bits off the rolled up tortilla wrap as you're running. One of my ultra runners that I work with absolutely swears by white baps, so white kind of rolls, really simple carbohydrate, filled with crisps. as he's running along on his races. Another runner likes stuffing balls, so like kind of sage and onion stuffing balls. Got quite a few people that make their own little energy balls, so you can take a sort of squishy fruit like dates are a particular favourite, munge those up, add in a few other bits and pieces that are tasty, maybe some nuts or seeds or oats, making your own little pieces of flapjack bites that you can take on a run with you. All of these are perfect alternatives. You're just looking for carbohydrates that are fairly easy to break down, so not whole grains. Now is the time to go white bread, not kind of granary grain filled bread. And something that is tempting for you to eat. Perhaps even give yourself a choice to take a couple of different things with you. It's really good to give yourself a choice, particularly towards the end of a long run. And something where, you know, the logistics of it, so getting it out your pack and actually eating it on the day, work well. Different people have completely different tastes in terms of the taste, the texture, the mouthfeel, the level of dryness, the level of moisture. So a little top tip from me is if you are doing a long run, you're going past like a little convenience store, a small supermarket, a garage that's got a little shop attached, have a bit of a think as you run past. If I went in there and bought something to eat right now, what would it be? Or maybe if you're feeling excitable, try that. Take a couple of pounds or your tap and pay card and go into the garage, buy something and then try eating it when you're running. The world is your oyster when it comes to fueling your runs, so give a few things a go, and if the sports nutrition stuff doesn't quite suit you, then there are a world of different alternatives out there.